Imagine discovering that one small behavior in childhood could quietly predict serious personality problems years later. Most parents never see it coming because it doesn't look dangerous, it doesn't look cruel. In fact, it often looks impressive. Teachers may call the child confident. Relatives may describe them as special. Friends might laugh and say they'll grow out of it. But what if they don't? Psychologists have identified an early behavioral pattern that appears surprisingly often in children who later develop strong narcissistic traits. It's not a guarantee, and it doesn't mean a child is destined to become a narcissist. Human personality is shaped by many factors, including genetics, parenting, life experiences, temperament, and environment. Still, this one overlooked warning sign deserves attention because it often hides in plain sight. The good news? When parents recognize it early, they have a powerful opportunity to guide their child toward empathy, emotional resilience, and healthy confidence instead of entitlement and manipulation. In today's video, you'll discover what this early sign really is, why so many loving parents unintentionally overlook it, the subtle mistakes that can make it worse, and the simple parenting habits that help children develop accountability, compassion, and emotional strength. By the end of this video, you may see childhood behavior in a completely different way, and what you learn today could make a lasting difference in a child's future. When most people think about narcissism, they imagine someone who constantly craves attention or believes they're better than everyone else. But in childhood, the earliest warning sign is often much more subtle. It's not wanting praise. Every child enjoys encouragement. It's not crying after losing a game. That's a normal emotional response. The behavior parents should pay close attention to is this: an inability to accept healthy accountability. Watch what happens when something goes wrong. Does your child immediately look inward and ask, "What could I have done differently?" Or do they instantly search for someone else to blame? If they lose, the game was unfair. If they get in trouble at school, the teacher is picking on them. If they hurt a friend, they insist the other child deserved it. If they fail a test, it's because someone distracted them or the questions were impossible. Notice the pattern. The problem is never the mistake itself. It's the refusal to own even a small part of it. Over time, this mindset becomes dangerous because every excuse protects the ego while preventing real growth. Children learn from mistakes only when they're willing to acknowledge them. Accountability isn't about making a child feel guilty. It's about helping them develop emotional maturity, resilience, and integrity. Without that ability, personal growth slows, empathy weakens, and unhealthy patterns can become deeply rooted as they grow older. This is where even the most loving parents can unintentionally reinforce the problem. When a child comes home upset, the instinct is to protect them. "My child would never do that. The teacher is unfair. The other kids are just jealous." While those reactions come from love, repeated rescuing sends a dangerous message. You never have to look at your own behavior. Over time, every failure becomes someone else's fault. Every conflict has another villain, and every disappointment feels like proof the world is against them. Instead of building resilience, the child develops a victim mindset that makes accountability feel like an attack rather than an opportunity to grow. Here's what surprises many people. Beneath narcissistic behaviors, there is often deep emotional insecurity. Many children who later develop narcissistic traits don't genuinely believe they're superior to everyone else. Instead, they're terrified of feeling inadequate, rejected, or not good enough. To them, admitting a mistake doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels like a threat to their entire sense of self. So they build emotional defenses. They deny responsibility, blame others, make excuses, or act superior to hide their vulnerability. What looks like confidence is often protection. The louder the ego becomes, the more fragile the self-esteem may actually be. That's why endless praise alone isn't the answer. Children don't just need to hear, "You're amazing." They also need to experience a powerful truth. You can make mistakes, learn from them, and still be deeply loved. When parents create that kind of safe emotional environment, children stop fearing failure. They become more willing to accept responsibility, show empathy, and grow stronger through life's challenges. That is the foundation of genuine confidence. Confidence that doesn't need to hide behind excuses or superiority. Healthy accountability is never about making a child feel ashamed. It's about helping them grow. Imagine your child accidentally breaks something around the house. You could react with anger, or you could ignore it completely. But there's a better approach. Calmly ask, "What happened? And what could you do differently next time?" That simple question shifts the focus from punishment to learning. In that moment, your child discovers two life-changing lessons. Mistakes have consequences, and mistakes can be repaired. They learn that saying, "I was wrong," isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of courage. They also learn that taking responsibility doesn't make people love them less. It earns trust and respect. This is how emotional maturity is built. The goal isn't to raise a perfect child who never fails. The goal is to raise a child who can admit mistakes, make things right, and keep moving forward with honesty and confidence. When accountability becomes a normal part of everyday life, failure stops feeling like a threat and starts becoming one of the greatest teachers a child will ever have. Here are 4 warning patterns every parent should pay attention to. First, a child consistently refuses to apologize, even when the mistake is obvious. Second, they constantly blame siblings, classmates, or teachers instead of accepting any responsibility. Third, they crave excessive praise and become upset, angry, or withdrawn whenever they're not the center of attention. And fourth, they show little empathy after hurting someone, focusing more on avoiding consequences than repairing the relationship. It's important to remember that none of these behaviors alone means a child will become narcissistic. Every child is still learning self-control and emotional regulation. The real concern is when these patterns appear repeatedly, become more intense over time, and go unchallenged. Early guidance can make a tremendous difference in helping a child develop empathy, accountability, and emotional resilience. The encouraging news is that children are remarkably adaptable, and healthy parenting can have a lasting impact. Instead of shielding your child from every disappointment, help them face challenges with courage and learn from them. Praise effort, persistence, honesty, and kindness, not just winning or being the best. Encourage empathy by asking simple but powerful questions like, "How do you think the other person felt?" Teach sincere apologies, forgiveness, and the importance of making things right. Most importantly, model accountability in your own life. When children hear a parent say, "I made a mistake," and "I'm sorry," they learn that responsibility isn't something to fear or avoid. It's a normal part of being human and a sign of true strength. Those everyday moments may become the greatest lessons your child ever receives, helping them grow into a confident, compassionate, and emotionally healthy adult. No child is born destined to become a narcissist. Every child is constantly growing, learning, and changing, and the everyday lessons they experience help shape the adult they'll become. The goal of parenting isn't perfection. It's raising someone who can admit mistakes, show empathy, accept responsibility, and continue growing through every stage of life. If this video gave you a new perspective, leave the word growth in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're passionate about understanding child psychology, emotional intelligence, and the science behind healthy relationships, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Our next video uncovers another surprising psychological pattern that most people miss. But once you recognize it, you'll never look at human behavior the same way again.